Everyone's waiting for Pennywise, but what if he's not the real monster? In It, Welcome to Derry, the horror doesn't come from the supernatural, it comes from the world that we live in. The fear, the racism, the ableism, the trauma, that's the real nightmare. So today we're peeling back 5 layers that show how Welcome to Derry turned real life into the scariest part of all. Welcome to The Real Spot, I'm Bobby Foster, let's dive in. And we're starting with the thing that everyone's been complaining about. Pennywise barely showing up. A lot of people are frustrated that Pennywise is taking a while to show up in his clown form, but to me that works for multiple reasons. I love the slow burn. It builds dread the way real fear does, which is gradually. Every moment we wait for his reveal, that anxiety and tension grows, just like in a classic horror movie when you don't see the monster until the final act. But here's the real catch. In the meantime, we're getting to establish the characters in the real horror that they're going through, which we're going to go into detail on a little bit later. That sets it up so that when Pennywise does show up, he's going to be even more horrifying, exploiting all these real horrors we're learning about. But on top of that, let's not act like the creatures we have seen so far haven't been horrifying. Like that Wendigo type monster that was chasing young Francis, that was terrifying. By delaying the clown, what Welcome to Derry is trying to remind us, I feel like, is that the scariest thing isn't waiting for us in the shadows. It's realizing that they've been living with the real horror all along. And nowhere is that clearer than in how the show handles Lilly's story. By the way, if you love talking about Welcome to Derry but feel like you have no one to talk about it with, go ahead and join the Real Spot Discord. We love talking about shows and would love to have you a part of those conversations. A lot of people are talking about the racism in Welcome to Derry, as they should, but almost nobody is talking about the ableism, and it's everywhere. Lilly's story makes that clear. She's dismissed, labeled crazy, and locked away in an asylum multiple times. And insane asylums are some of the worst places in the world, and the people that go there face just unspeakable things, true horror and torture. And her story exposes how society dehumanizes disabled people. First by calling them monsters, crazy, weird, strange, and then by refusing to believe them. And that's why Lilly had to even lie about Ronnie's dad in the first place. It's the reason her and her friends had to risk their lives trying to get a picture of the monster, because the town has labeled her as crazy. The show even opens up with a circus displaying disabled people as freaks, to the point where even the audience of the show was confused on if the guy at the beginning of episode 3 with the missing eye was a manifestation of it, but he wasn't. He was just a disabled person. And just like racism, ableism destroys people, and it's destroying Lilly. But ableism isn't the only real life horror Derry reveals, because racism is just baked into the foundation of the town. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe so more videos like this will show up on your feed. So let's talk about Dick and Leroy. It might look like they're being treated well, but to me, I think it's only because of their special powers, their abilities. The military and the higher ups most likely see them as expendable, useful tools until they're not. They'll use their powers as long as it benefits them, but when it doesn't, they're going to discard them. This is a tale as old as time when it comes to black people in America being used for labor and then discarded afterwards. This isn't supernatural horror, this is American history. So if they didn't have special powers, would they still be getting treated as well as they are? Well, let's look at how the rest of the black people in the show are getting treated. His wife gets evil stares when she walks into town. Will's teacher hates him. The other black soldiers didn't even have a good roof over their head in their barracks. And it wasn't until Dick put himself in harm's way that he was able to get a better place for the black soldiers. And that theme of exploitation goes even deeper when we look at the indigenous history of Derry. The indigenous storyline here might be one of the most haunting parts of Welcome to Derry. So it came to Earth millions of years ago, but it's been lying dormant. And we see that in episode 3, its evil started long before the 1960s, where the show is showing us right now. It started back in the early 1900s. And we also see that one of its powers is making people forget about Derry when they leave.
Derry's funny that way. No matter how long you spend here, the further away you get, the more it all just seems to fade.
That power has always been a metaphor for how we handle our trauma by suppressing it and forgetting it, but in the context of this story, it changes a little bit. When Francis forgets about Rose, it's not just the town's curse, it's a metaphor for how America forgets indigenous people altogether. Even when someone cares about them like Francis, eventually they move on and turn away from them. I feel like that mirrors what happened to indigenous people in America. People colonized their land, took it over, and then forgot about them. And in this story, it could be seen as the original colonizer. Yes, he's been on Earth for millions of years, but like I said, he was dormant. But then the indigenous people settle, then it comes onto their land, takes it over, curses it, and then makes people forget that it even exists. And if that's not a mirror to what happened to indigenous people in America, I don't know what is. And to me, the real horror of Welcome to Derry isn't a clown or his powers or his different manifestations or even the death of the characters. It's the world that's created them. It's the way people are ignored, silenced, exploited, and forgotten. The way every system, from asylums to the military to the government, thrive on misery. That's what makes Welcome to Derry so powerful. It's not showing us some fictional horror story. It's really just holding up a mirror to some of the terrifying things we face in real life and amplifying them. Pennywise might haunt Derry, but the town's real nightmare has always been itself. They can all blame it for making them act differently, but at the end of the day, they're all operating in systems that make them scary enough already. So maybe the question we should be asking isn't when Pennywise is going to show up. Maybe we should be asking, why is real life so horrifying? Because Welcome to Derry is trying to tell us that the scariest stories aren't about monsters, they're about us. Let me know how you feel about this take and this perspective in the comments. And don't forget to join us in the Real Spot Discord to keep this conversation going. Until next time, I'll see y'all.